I'm going to start off with an app. There's a little app, a free app called Vine, which is owned by Twitter. And it means I can do 6 seconds of video in real time and put it straight onto video. It'll record in video, put it up onto Twitter and also on Facebook. So if you're running from the law or you don't want anyone to see you, I'm going to film you now and put it straight up on the interwebs on Twitter.
Anyone thinks you're an illicit superannuation?
Yes. Okay. Hide if you have to. Wave, please wave. So we know that this is 6 seconds. It's amazing what you can do in 6 seconds. Look at that, a whole lot. Now, I'll have to just put this down. Do the hashtag. Better get the hashtag right. CMSF 2014.
Just 14.
Just 14. Sorry about this. I'm a bit 24. It is.
Okay, sorry.
Up it goes. That's just finishing up now, and that'll be on Twitter in a second, and you'll hopefully be able to see yourself. It's going up right now. All right, hopefully no one phones me. Let me introduce you to a man called Marcus Sheridan. Now, Marcus, he comes from Virginia in the US, and he was a partner in a business called River Pools and Spas. And in 2009, River Pools and Spas, with its 20 staff and 3 partners, it was kind of going out the door backwards. Could you think of a worse business to be in America in 2009? Housing, not so good. In-ground fiberglass pools, very, very ordinary. And so what they were going out the door backwards, so they needed a rethink in strategy. And what Marcus did was he did something quite radical. He fired up the blog on the River Pools and Spa website, and he started answering people's questions. Now, he worked out all the sorts of questions that he gets. And then you know what the first question is that everyone asks? How much is an in-ground fiberglass pool? And so he answered that, or he addressed the question, because it is quite a difficult question to answer straight up. No one had ever done that before, because they all want the salespeople to get a foot in the door and to sell you and to pitch you. And he's also written things like, what's wrong with fiberglass pools? Because things go wrong with fiberglass pools. What are some of the issues they face? And so he wrote about that too, knocking his own product. And then another question people have is, well, who else is good in this space in our area? What other good pool constructors are there? And so he creates a list of his competitors and doesn't put his own name on, doesn't put his own company on. And he promotes them. Quite radical, really. But what it's done is that it really turned the company around. It got it back to pre-2007 levels in revenue and is now one of the most trafficked pool websites in the world. The New York Times thought it was such a radical idea that they called it a revolutionary marketing strategy, answering people's questions. Now, Marcus didn't do anything too radical, I would have thought, but now he's got the tools and the capability through blogging and social media to do that. Social media, we love it, don't we, or not? It means so many different things to so many different people. And do you know what the problem is? People are always thinking about the tools and the technology and the next shiny new thing. There's a shiny new thing, let's go and grab it. I know I do. But the moment we go to the tools, the moment we say we've got to be on Twitter because everyone else is, you've gone tactical straight away. You haven't even thought about why you want to use it. And should you be on it? Should you be on Facebook in the first place? And what happens is that we forget that social media is all about people. The social part of social media is about relationships, and it's about the connections we make. The media, the technology, without the social, you imagine Facebook without anyone sharing cat videos. It'd be nothing. Nothing would ever happen. So always be thinking that it's about the people and what they do with the technology and how they're using it to connect and interact with one another, how they're using it to share content, to create content. They're becoming their own publishers. And more importantly, how they're using it to search for information, ideas, and get recommendations from their friends and peers. But more than anything, social media is a mindset. Again, this is off the theme of don't worry about the technology, it's a mindset. This is one of the big superannuation fund owners in the UK, by the way. Handsome gentleman, isn't he? It's a mindset. Geez, you've got to have a certain mindset to go down that path, don't you? And what we need to learn is it's not about us, the brand. For so many years, marketing, PR, everything has been about us, our messaging, our products. We sit in the boardroom, we craft these messages, all about us. We've never really cared about the recipient of those messages, and now it's been turned on its ear. So when you get into social media, you've got to have empathy. You've got to be putting yourself into the shoes of your members and prospective members. So we've gone from this. Now, I'm not saying don't advertise, because advertising certainly still has a major role to play. But this is one way of doing marketing, and it's getting harder and harder to do. And people are getting very good at filtering out messages, incredibly so. And it's becoming more about this, more about relationship building, more about conversations, a human connection. This is what social media has allowed us to do. This is what it's empowering consumers to do. And they'll gravitate to companies and organisations that do have a human face, that do are accessible to you through social channels. So traditionally, we've gone and told one big story to as many people as possible, and that still happens today. The newspapers, the TV, and your big advertising campaigns, where there's still relevance, yes, it's telling one big story to as many people as possible, but that is diametrically opposed to what's coming up now, and that's telling lots of different stories to lots of different people and hoping and willing them and empowering them to share that content. It's not about creating the big viral video. It's about creating lots of different content for lots of different individuals. So what do we know? This is Betty. She appears every now and then. Scares me, actually. What do we know? Well, we know that we went backwards. We know we're still going backwards. What do we know? I love this picture. If it's up on the... That freaks me out. I look up there and I was thinking, no, it's not up there. This picture, if you can see it, we're looking at 2005 and the announcement of Pope Benedict. Fast forward 8 years and the announcement of Pope Francis. And look at everyone there has got a phone, an iPad. They're all taking photos or videos or Vine videos or Instagrams. What do you think the first thing they're going to do the moment they've taken their shot? Anyone want to have a guess? They've put it on Twitter, Facebook, it's gone through Instagram, it's out through Vine, it's everywhere, and then it ricochets from there. You do not want to be the person speaking after that, 10 seconds after that, because no one will be listening. But I think it's a really good shot and shows you exactly how we've changed. Our behaviour has changed, it's not going back as consumers. Our usage of social media is off the charts. Every time I try and update myself with statistics, and it blows me away, because it keeps changing. Like in Australia, we've got something like nearly 13 million people are on Facebook, of the 1 billion in the world. Twitter is only about 2.2 million active users, and LinkedIn is the surprise that just as over 5 million. So 5 million professionals and business people are on LinkedIn in Australia. Who here is on LinkedIn? Virtually everyone. LinkedIn's becoming a really, really good and more of a social network. And for a lot of people, it's their only social network. Twitter at 2.2 million is a minnow. But it gets all the publicity because it's real time and it's out there. It's at the coalface of social media. I've always said that if a business or a brand gets Twitter and does it well, everything else falls into place. So our usage of social media is off the charts. Australians are the heaviest users of social networks in the world. Now, this research is a couple of years old, but it was done through Nielsen, and we were probably slow to start. We were slow, but we do adapt to technology and all of these things pretty well, but it does take us time. But when we do it well. So per capita, we are the heaviest users of social networks in the world. And this is the one that really interests me. We're becoming hunters and gatherers of information. If we're going to buy from a company now, we'll do our homework. And those sources of information might be from the company itself, it might be from traditional media, chances are it's from recommendations from social networks. But we know probably more about a company when we're going to deal with it now than the company knows itself. I know one business in the wealth creation industry, and they're just piling out the content and really educating customers. So when people come to them, they don't need to sell them. They're not employing salespeople anymore, they're employing teachers. Because people have already done their homework. So we're becoming, as human beings, really very adept at finding information. The opportunity to become our own media company, I think, is really, really the game changer. Each and every one of you, whether you're an individual, a non-profit, a major organisation, doesn't matter. Some of the best little media companies now are quite small, but there's a guy in Melbourne called Darren Rouse. Who's heard of Darren Rouse here? Darren's probably bigger than the Sydney Morning Herald. He runs 2 blogs and he's got 5 million unique visitors to those blogs every month. In the blogging world, he's in the top handful in the world. So he's become his own media company. And social media is an amplifier. So while our behaviours have changed, how we are as human beings hasn't changed. We still love stories. We still love recommendations. We still love helping people. It's just that social media has amplified this behaviour. And so that's good, and it can also be bad. But I look at the opportunities, and the opportunities to empower people to recommend your brand, your business, is very powerful. So what do people expect from companies and organisations today? Particularly if you are on social networks, there is an expectation that you will be using them in a certain way. And it's changing our perceptions of companies. And it's the smaller startups that come up through the ranks that are showing a lot of these characteristics. So number one is increased transparency. Now, with increased accessibility becomes more of an expectation that you'll have increased transparency. And obviously you've got your disclosures and you've got all the regulations that you have to. I'm not talking about that corporate governance type of disclosure. I'm talking about transparency, accessibility, having the executives out of the shadows of the boardroom and in public forums online. Why not? Some of the biggest companies in the world now are doing that. Why wouldn't you be, not talking in language that people can understand? That's, again, being transparent. Dealing with real people. We expect to deal with real people. We don't deal with robots. We don't want to. We're not going to ring and get a robot if we can tweet and we can talk to someone who's an actual human being. We want to deal with people who we know, we like and we trust. And we deal with human beings. And I look at some of the businesses that are connected brands today, and they're doing a wonderful job in humanising their business. Using social media to humanise their business is a powerful advantage over their competitors. We want utility and relevance. So that means we want good information, real information that we can understand that's going to help us, inspire us, empower us. But we also want companies to be responsive now. So again, that expectation to be responsive is there. And this is probably my bugbear, is corporate speak, jargon, gobbledygook. If you use those sorts of words, and no one here would use those words, our unique, proven, collaborative approach to combining doctorate-level theoretical analytics, strategy and world-class. Creative execution, no one would use words like that here, thank goodness. But you use words like that on Facebook and you'll get bounced. In fact, you'll get ignored, which is worse. So there's 2 sides to the social media coin. And one is the creation of the content. And this is where you might have heard the phrase content marketing. It's become a bit of a buzzword, albeit content marketing itself, that is creating content to empower your consumers. That's been around since the late 1800s when John Deere tractors published a magazine for farmers. It wasn't promoting their products, it was helping farmers become better farmers. And when they became better farmers, they made more money, they bought tractors from guess who? John Deere. And it's the social participation. This is the building of relationships, connecting with the marketplace, being relevant, and connecting and being social as human beings. The two work hand in hand. And the companies that get that and doing it well, I call connected brands. Number one is you need to know your audience. And this is probably, again, we've grown up with marketing and we've got demographics. We've got a couple in there, a white-collar couple living in East Sydney, no kids, a cardboard cutout. What I like to do, and I suggest people do, is create buyer personas. It's a bit of a horrible word, or avatars. These are, when I say real people, they could be a combination or a composite of people you already know. But these are your target audiences, and particularly when you've got your members are different and the people you're trying to communicate with and create content for, they're at different life stages. You might need up to 5, but most companies probably have about 3, and that's your bullseye. So when you're creating content, when you're tweeting, when you're putting information out there, you're writing for these specific audiences. Now, it's not just demographics, but they're fully dimensional people. So where do they live? How many kids have they got? Where do the kids go to school? What keeps them up at night? What are their pressing issues relevant to your business? Do they take the train into work? Have they got time? What sporting activities? Really, really get your fingernails dirty trying to understand your audience. Have a page for each, get a photo that represents that person, give them a name, and that's who you write for. And I can tell you now, just from doing that, you'll have so much clarity around your content marketing efforts because you'll know exactly who you're writing for and what are their needs and pressing issues and questions. So I'm quickly going to take you through the connected brands. I'm not going to talk about the brands themselves. I'm going to talk about some of the characteristics that these companies, organisations, non-profits do, and always be thinking, well, how can I relate that back to what I'm doing back at the office? These are the brands that are doing social and content with passion, purpose and strategic intent. What they do is they tell stories, and they tell stories vividly. We're all storytellers. That's your business today. You've got 2 businesses today, by the way. You've got your superannuation business that you're running and you're involved with, and you're also a media company. And media companies tell stories. Tell stories, case studies. You can tell stories on Twitter. You can tell stories in a 6-second Vine. But think about telling stories. Charity Water has in 6 years done probably more from a non-profit than any other startup non-profit has, or social enterprise. And they've used social media and digital technology incredibly well. But at the heart of what they do, they tell stories. Highlight partnerships. Most businesses and organisations today have partnerships with the community, with charities, with non-profits, or with suppliers, etc. Whole Foods Market do it really well. Their partners are the farmers and the producers. And so they let them tell their story. They help them tell their story. Rather than always, hey, aren't we great? We've got this organic food. Well, let's go to our partner producers and let's hear it from them directly. So how can you highlight partnerships and tell stories around that? Celebrate the bigger picture, and I think this is probably a really interesting space for you because it's very easy to get bogged down into products. When no one's interested in your products, they're interested in what's in it for them. So the Australian Writers Centre, which is a fast-growing company, started from Sydney and is now sells online writing courses around the world, as well as face-to-face in most capital cities in Australia. They celebrate writing. Yes, sure, they're happy to promote their courses, their writing courses, but they celebrate writing. They celebrate getting published and following your dream of getting paid to write. And they do it really well. And they've got a very big community behind them because they've earned that right to build that community. I like the idea of idea paint. Excuse the pun there. Idea paint is basically whiteboard paint. So you imagine your office, one wall, completely whiteboarded. I know I'd want one of those, that'd be really cool. But what do you do when you've got a big whiteboard? You brainstorm, you put ideas, you try and get innovative and use your imagination. And that's what they're selling. They're inspiring the marketplace and they're selling a bigger picture. So they talk about brainstorming. They've got a series here called Mark 50, where they look at 50 innovators who have left their mark on the world. Again, it's around innovation. It's the bigger picture, bigger than what their product is. Humanise the brand. I've said that a few times. It's going to be a theme today. But you look at Southwest Airlines. Sure, they've always been a brand with a lot of personality, but they get the CEO out once a year to crowdsource through Twitter and Facebook ideas for what he'll dress up as come Halloween. And then they take photos of him doing that and they put it again out on social media. Now, I'm not expecting you to go out on Halloween and start dressing as whatever that thing is on the left there with the orange hair. But it's the fact that a CEO or someone has got out of the corporate boardroom and is starting to show a little bit of humanity and having a bit of fun. And you'd be amazed at how much we as consumers love that sort of thing because, again, we like to deal with people. So use social media to humanise. Take people behind the velvet rope of the business a little bit and show the human side of what goes on. Answering people's questions. Okay, so Marcus Sheridan has done this really well. A guy called Brian Goulet, he runs a pen, paper and ink company, also in Virginia. I've just worked out. So that's two that do this. So there's something in the water in Virginia. But if you go onto Goulet Pen's website, you'll see the degree that he answers people's questions around wax seals and things like that. Again, your members have got questions, or people have always got questions around superannuation. How are you answering them? With a pithy one line under an FAQ, or are you bringing it to life in a video and showing your experts out there? I love what the Queensland Media Department do with Queensland Police Media Unit do every Friday. And they've got a massive following. They've got one of the biggest followings online of any police force in the world. And they have a What the Friday, and it's all the silly things that the officers see in their journeys. You know, people riding motorbikes with barbecues on them and things like that. Just really silly things. So while there's a serious side to what the police do, there's also a humorous side, which they show. Now, I'm not sure you can read the one on the left. Sorry, the right. It's my left up there. But this is the Perth Police Unit. So something the police are doing, they're getting really funny. But it's basically someone tweeted the other day that he copied in the WA police, and he said, my roommate's eaten more than half of his share of the cheese and he didn't pay for it, what can you do, sort of thing. And I'd love to be able to read that properly, but they've come back and basically said that we don't usually prosecute, if it's Swiss cheese, we don't usually prosecute those cases because they're full of holes. Boom, thanks for playing. HubSpot. Check out HubSpot.com and you will see probably the most connected brand of all time, one of the fastest growing technology company businesses in America, and they've got marketing software. And education is their main thing. They educate relentlessly. Their clients that are marketing people and small business owners, they educate them, and their information is so good you'd pay for it, seriously. And they've built a massive following and built a massive business through education. So we can learn a lot from HubSpot. The personal touch, there's a boutique law firm called Pod Legal in Brisbane and Melbourne. And the two principals of that law firm are Karen and Jamie White, and they're very active on Twitter and very human and getting out there and answering people's questions and generally being helpful. And there was one time where there was an article being written and I'd posted it up and I said to Jamie, what do you think? And he gave me a 140 character burst as an answer, but he obviously went away and thought about it. You won't be able to read that, but that was his answer. So what he's done is been a little creative, given me an answer, taken a photo of it, put it on Twitter, which people shared around, and it's the answer to the question. But it was a lovely personal touch. The fact that you can do that instantly, I think, the fact that he wanted to do it is great. American Express, for a major corporation, are doing some wonderful things in content and social media and have been at the forefront of this. But they realise that one of their major market segments is small business, and they're having a tough time in America particularly. And so after Thanksgiving, there's the Black Friday sales, which is the biggest retail day of the year, and the big retailers get all the coin there. And then on the Monday, there's the Cyber Frenzy or something it's called. It's the online version, and the poor little small business is getting squeezed. So what American Express have now done for a number of years is to use social media to drive it, is to grow this shop small movement, with it pinnacle day being this Small Business Saturday, which is a couple of days after Thanksgiving. Done a wonderful job, and they're really highlighting the plight and the benefits of small business, but also the benefits of shopping small. Okay, coming into the home straight, I want to leave you with some takeaway things to do after I take a glass of water. 4 things you could do tomorrow. Okay, if you don't want to do it tomorrow, because I think you're still here tomorrow, aren't you? You might have to do it the next day, but that's all right. By the end of the week, here are 4 things that you can do, but there are 4 things within the 4 things, so it's probably about 16 things actually. Okay, subscribe to these blogs. Hopefully you can read that. Top one is Web Inc. Now by David Meerman Scott. David he's been blogging for a long time. He's got some really great books out, but he just puts across content and social from a business perspective really, really well. He hates gobbledygook as well. So if you're into gobbledygook and jargon, perhaps not read it. Underneath that, Mark Schaefer has a wonderful blog called Businesses Grow. And what Mark does, he's fantastic on Twitter, but he's a lecturer, he's an academic, he's an head of marketing in the B2B space. But he's a purist, and I put myself in the purist. I don't worry too much about the SEOs and the technology side of things. It's about the stories and the connections and the relationships. And if you see how Mark Schaefer does it, you'll really understand. He'll give a really good understanding of what's happening in that space at the moment. Top right-hand corner is Convince and Convert. That's where it starts getting a little bit more around the conversion and the tools and content marketing at its biggest and boldest. And that's if you want to know anything about content marketing, go to Convince and Convert, driven by a guy called Jay Baer, B-A-E-R. Some great work there. And finally, Social Media Examiner. This is a wonderful story. A guy who really didn't know much about social media when he started, but he certainly does now. He started Social Media Examiner a few years ago, and within 12 months had turned it into a $1 million business. The content, the quality of the content, the depth of the content that he provides on a daily basis will make your head spin. All this is free. All this is free. Give it out there. Get it out there. And so Social Media Examiner, you'll really learn a little bit more about the tools and the applications. So it's not really theory at all. It just gets into it and does it. Buy these 4 books. Well, if you're on Kindle, you can go bang, 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 and you can have these 4 books probably for around $50. I tell you what, just by reading these blogs and these books, you're going to be so much better off than the next guy, I can tell you. It'll blow your mind. It'll really open your mind to some really exciting things. David Meerman Scott, again, he wrote the book, this one in 2007. It's up to its 4th imprint. It's called The New Rules of Marketing and PR. It's kind of like the Bible. Again, it's a great overview from a business point of view about content and social media and how it's all working. Mind you, when he updated it from 2007, it's almost a brand new book because everything's changed. I think when he wrote the first one, there was a thing called Second Life, which was a virtual world. And we don't hear much about Second Life. Control-Alt-Delete is a bigger picture by a guy called Mitch Joel. It's about rebooting your life and your business, so it's a bit of personal and business, but it's showing where digital's going and how it's affecting the world and business, and it's a bit of a poke in the eye, so it's worth it from that point of view. Content Rules, there are other content marketing books that are quite a bit more heavy and technical. Content Rules, if you just want to understand, okay, content, yeah, that makes sense because you've got to have something to put on social channels. You want to become your own media company. Content Rules is a really nice introduction to this whole space. And by the time you read chunks of that, you'll really start to understand it. And Brian Solis, who comes out to Australia quite often, he's written the End of Business as Usual. And again, it's a bit of a poke in the eye, but he's an anthropologist and futurist, and he talks about the connected consumer and what they're all about. And it's a really good way of understanding the consumer of tomorrow, who will be your members. If not now, they'll be in a couple of years' time. Check out what these 4 brands are doing. Ford, on their social page on the Ford website. I put Ford up there because you're not going to get a bigger brand that was more addicted to big brand advertising, very conservative, than Ford. And yet they're a shining light. In a matter of 4 or 5 years, they're turned into a social business. Social media for them influences how they design cars these days. And so they're doing a lot of really good stuff. Instead of launching a car at a car show like everyone's done for 50 years, they'll give 100 cars to 100 bloggers and let them go rampant. That's pretty cool stuff. And you know what? It really worked for them. Salesforce, that web address there, salesforce.com.uk/social success. There's some good social media stuff on it, but I put it up there only because I want you to see what the quality of some of these companies and what they're putting out there. It's getting really good, some of this original content. Deloitte locally do some really good stuff for a big conservative, seemingly conservative professional services firm. They humanise their business very well. They run events, they tweet from them. They do a lot of those small micro actions, and they're the sorts of things I want you to understand today, the micro actions you can do. And the Goulet Pen Company, okay, so he sells pens, paper and ink. What you can learn about social media and content marketing from this guy is everything. So just check out the passion and the enthusiasm with which he goes about his business. And finally, taking 4 actions on your LinkedIn account. So everyone's on LinkedIn, so I don't need you to jump on and open up an account. Hopefully everyone's got a professional looking photo, not a shot from Bali with a margarita. Or worse, no photo at all. And hopefully it's not a resume, an online resume, but it actually does the professional you justice. So I take that as a given. But share over the next couple of days, share 2 links to stories that you think your connections and the people you're connected with will be interested in. And write a bit of a note on why you think it's important. You might actually just help someone. Someone might read that and get something out of that. And you've helped someone, and that's a good thing. Why don't you comment on a link that someone else has done? So someone's put up something or a comment or a quote or a link. Why don't you comment on that? Genuinely, authentically. Or why don't you like what someone else has put up? Again, it's this involvement, starts at a personal level and then builds up through the business.